Welcome to the Science of Hockey, the podcast where we break down the science behind ice hockey. I'm the analyst, your host, and every week we explore the data, research, and evidence that shape how we play, train, and understand the game of hockey. From biomechanics to performance psychology, we take you beyond the rink and into the research lab, giving you insights that go beyond hearsay and into what really makes the difference on the ice. Whether you're a player, a coach, a parent, or just someone passionate about the sport, we're here to bring you scientifically backed information in a language that's friendly and easy to understand. So grab your skates and let's dive into the science of hockey. Welcome to another episode of the Science of Hockey. I'm your host, the analyst, and today we're exploring how testing translates into success on the ice. We'll dive into the links between on-ice and off-ice fitness tests and actual game performance, from scoring points to making the NHL draft. Research highlights what these tests reveal and don't reveal about a player's potential, uncovering gaps in our understanding and offering a roadmap for the future of talent evaluation in hockey. Whether you're a coach, scout, or player, this episode will provide a deeper look at the science of performance testing and how it can shape the game. So grab your gear and join us on this investigative journey.
All right, fans, let's get ready for another deep dive. You know those debates that just never die down? Well, today we're tackling one that's been raging in hockey circles forever. Does crushing it in the gym actually mean you'll crush it on the ice?
What's exciting is we're finally moving past those old school arguments based on, just gut feelings and anecdotes. We're diving into some serious science.
Absolutely. We're looking at this awesome research review from 2021, a paper that analyzed a whopping 17 different studies on this very topic. It's like the ultimate showdown: strength versus skill, gym versus game.
Yeah. And it's really fascinating to see how much the demand for hard data has grown in hockey. People are realizing that to unlock potential, to truly get that edge, we need to go beyond just, eyeballing it.
So true. Okay, before we lace up and hit the ice, let's get everyone on the same page. This paper we're looking at, it talks about the 4 pillars of a hockey player: physical, technical, tactical. And then there's that mental game, that cognitive, psychological side.
Right, and those pillars make so much sense when you think about the layers of the sport. You need that raw power to handle those checks, but then you also need the finesse to handle the puck like a magician. And then on top of that, you've got to outsmart your opponents, stay cool under pressure. It's a lot.
Totally. And for this deep dive, we're going all in on that first pillar, the physical side.
Exactly. We're going to explore whether there's a real measurable connection between a player's physical abilities and their performance in actual games. We're talking those hard numbers, the stats.
Love it. All right, so let's start in the gym, off the ice. What kind of tests were these researchers using to assess players?
They used a whole range, honestly. Weightlifting, jump tests, sprints, you name it, they probably measured it.
And what did they find? Were there any surprises?
Actually, yeah. One of the strongest correlations they found was between upper body strength and on-ice performance. 6 out of 7 studies that focused on resistance training, good old-fashioned weightlifting, showed a clear positive link.
Wait, so you're telling me hitting the weights can actually make you a better player?
Seems that way. And get this. There's this study from 2009, Tarter and his team. They found that a player's overall upper body strength could predict, get this, 35% of their likelihood of being drafted into the NHL.
Whoa. That's a serious power move. I guess those bench press reps do matter. But what about those explosive movements, the bursts of speed and agility you need on the ice? Did they look into that?
Absolutely. They also measured things like vertical jump height, trying to capture that explosiveness. And here's where things get interesting. Some studies showed a moderate connection between jump height and hockey performance, but others found no link at all. It's a bit of a head-scratcher.
Yeah, that's strange. I wonder if how they're defining hockey performance could be playing a role there. Because it's a complex game, right? It's not just about scoring goals.
You're spot on. Defining and measuring hockey performance is way more complicated than you might think. There are so many factors at play.
For sure. You could have a player who might not score a ton, but they're shutting down the opponent's top line, forcing turnovers, quietly driving play. Those contributions don't always show up on the score sheet.
Exactly. And that's what makes this research so intriguing. It forces us to dig deeper, to question those traditional metrics, and to really think about how we define success in hockey.
Okay, so we've explored the gym, but now it's time to actually hit the ice. What kind of tests did the researchers use to see how players perform in their natural habitat?
Well, skating, of course, was front and center. They measured speed, acceleration, agility, basically anything to evaluate how well players moved on their skates.
Makes sense. Skating is like the foundation of everything in hockey, right?
Couldn't agree more. But even with these on-ice tests, the results weren't always crystal clear. Some studies found a strong link between skating abilities and in-game performance, while others didn't.
Okay, so more mixed signals. What do you think is driving this lack of a consistent connection between these tests and actual game performance?
I think a big part of it goes back to how we define hockey performance. Some studies looked at simple stats like points and games played, while others dug deeper into things like plus-minus differential.
Right, plus minus. That takes into account defensive contributions too, not just offensive output.
Precisely. It measures the goal differential while a player is on the ice. So a positive plus-minus generally means they're on the ice for more goals for their team than against.
Ah, I see. It's like a mini scoreboard tracking a player's overall impact on the flow of the game.
You got it. And then you've got even more nuanced metrics like shot differential and scoring chances. These try to measure how often a player is involved in plays that are likely to lead to a goal, regardless of whether they actually score themselves.
Wow, it sounds like you're really trying to capture the full picture, to see beyond those basic stats and understand those subtler contributions that make a difference.
Absolutely. It's like they're painting a high-definition portrait of a player's impact, not just a rough sketch.
So are we seeing a shift in hockey towards a more data-driven approach, kind of like what happened in baseball with Moneyball? Using data to uncover hidden talent and build winning teams.
Definitely. It's about looking beyond those traditional scouting methods and using data to identify those players who might be undervalued but possess unique skills that contribute to a team's success.
Okay, so even with these fancy stats and a deeper understanding of the game, the research still struggled to find a consistent, strong relationship between any single fitness test and in-game performance. Why is that?
Well, hockey is a beast of a sport. There are so many variables at play on the ice, and it's tough to isolate the impact of any one factor.
Right, you can't just plug a player's bench press max into an equation and predict how many goals they're going to score.
Exactly. Plus, there's the human element to consider. Individual playing styles, chemistry between teammates, coaching strategies, and let's not forget luck.
It sounds like we're just scratching the surface of understanding this relationship between fitness and performance. What are some of the research gaps that were highlighted in the review? What areas need more exploration?
One of the biggest gaps they pointed out was the lack of research on female hockey players. Almost all the studies focused on men, which is a missed opportunity given how much women's hockey has grown.
That's a great point. You'd think with all the incredible talent and the surge in popularity of women's hockey, there'd be more research dedicated to understanding the specific demands of the women's game.
Totally. We need to fill that gap and make sure research is inclusive and represents all players. And it's not just about gender either. There's also a need for more research on younger players, especially those still developing. Understanding how physical attributes impact performance at different ages is key to helping young athletes reach their full potential.
So basically, we need more data across the board. Men, women, young players. Every corner of the hockey world needs more research attention.
Couldn't agree more. It's not just about collecting data for the sake of it, though. It's about using that data to gain valuable insights that can help players improve, teams succeed, and the sport as a whole continue to evolve.
It feels like we're at this really exciting crossroads in hockey, where data, technology, and traditional knowledge are all coming together. It's opening up a whole new world of possibilities for how we understand and improve performance.
Absolutely. And the more we learn, the more we realize how much more there is to discover.
This deep dive is turning out to be deeper than I even imagined. What other interesting insights did this research review uncover?
Well, one thing that jumped out at me was the discussion of data collection methods. A lot of the studies relied on those tried and true approaches, things like video observation and manually tracking stats.
So picture a bunch of researchers huddled around a screen, meticulously logging every pass, every shot, every hit.
Yeah, exactly. While those methods can be useful, they're definitely time-consuming. And they're prone to human error, right? And they might miss some of those subtle things that happen in the blink of an eye, those split-second decisions that can make all the difference.
Right. The human eye can only process so much information at once.
Yeah.
especially when the action is happening at lightning speed.
Exactly. And that's why a lot of researchers are excited about the potential of new technologies to completely change the game when it comes to hockey analysis. We're talking about things like GPS tracking, which can provide incredibly detailed data on a player's movements, their speed, their exertion levels throughout a game.
So like those fitness trackers that are so popular these days, but specifically designed to capture the unique demands of hockey.
You got it. It's like having a digital scout tracking every stride a player takes, every change of direction, every burst of energy, and it goes even further. There are systems now that use multiple cameras and sensors to capture every single detail of a game, from the puck's trajectory to the precise movements of every player. It's almost like creating a 3D blueprint of the game.
Whoa, that's mind-blowing. It's like being able to watch a game in virtual reality, but with all this extra data woven in.
It really is. And the best part is, you can feed all this data into these powerful algorithms that can sort through everything and identify patterns and insights that would be impossible for a human to spot on their own.
So are we saying that we're on the verge of being able to completely analyze every single aspect of a hockey game, down to the tiniest detail?
We're definitely heading in that direction, and this has huge implications for everything from player development to coaching strategies, even how fans engage with the game.
I'm starting to think I need a degree in data science just to keep up with all of this.
It can be a lot, that's for sure. But hey, that's what we're here for, to break down these complex ideas and make them understandable for everyone, whether you're a coach, a player, or just a diehard fan.
Well, you do a fantastic job. But the more we dig into this, the more I realize how much we still don't know about this connection between fitness and performance in hockey. What are some of the big questions that researchers are still wrestling with?
One of the biggest mysteries is whether we can actually use all this data to predict future performance. Can we build models that accurately forecast which players will excel at higher levels or which teams have the best shot at winning a championship?
Now that would be the holy grail of hockey analytics. Can we really predict the unpredictable beauty of this sport?
That's the million-dollar question. While we're not quite there yet, there has been some promising progress. Researchers are creating more and more sophisticated algorithms that factor in everything from physical attributes and on-ice skills to things like mental toughness and even personality traits.
So it's like they're trying to build the ultimate hockey player profile, the blueprint for success.
Kinda, yeah. But even the most advanced models are still in their early stages. And we have to remember that there are always going to be those unpredictable factors that can throw things off.
Right. Injuries, slumps, just plain old bad luck. The human element will always be a part of the game.
Absolutely. And that's part of what makes sports so captivating. But even though we might never be able to predict the future with 100% certainty, these new analytical tools are giving us a much deeper understanding of the game than ever before.
It sounds like the future of hockey is going to be this incredible blend of art and science.
Exactly. The teams that will rise to the top will be those who can masterfully combine that traditional hockey wisdom with the cutting-edge insights that data analysis provides.
Well, we've covered a lot of ground here in this first period, exploring this fascinating and complex world of hockey analytics.
And we've barely scratched the surface. There's so much more to unpack, from the specific findings of these studies to the implications for players, coaches, and the future of the sport.
I'm already hooked. Fans, stay tuned, because in our next period, we're diving even deeper into this world of hockey analytics.
Welcome back, everyone. Before we hit the locker room, we were talking about how hockey analytics is evolving, how researchers are digging deeper, moving beyond those basic stats to get a more complete picture of player performance.
Yeah, it's like we're upgrading from those old grainy highlight reels to like high definition. We were talking about plus minus, how it shows a player's defensive impact, and things like shot differential and scoring chances, which reveal how often they're involved in those high danger plays.
Exactly. It's about seeing those nuances, those contributions that might not show up in the basic points and goals. And that leads us to the different types of performance markers they use in these studies. Some focused on what we might call global performance indicators, things like games played, total ice time, and overall points.
Right, those are the classic stats you see everywhere, on the news, on the scoreboards. They give you a general sense of how a player's doing, but they don't tell the whole story.
Exactly. They're like the trailer to a movie. They give you a taste, but you need to see the whole film to really appreciate the depth and complexity. And that's where those more advanced metrics come into play. They delve deeper into the subtleties of the game, revealing the hidden impact players have that might not show up in those basic stats.
Okay, so let's go back for a second. You mentioned plus minus earlier. Can you break that down for anyone who might not be as familiar with all the hockey stats?
Absolutely. Plus minus, it seems simple, but it's actually pretty insightful. It tells you the goal differential when a player is on the ice at even strength. So basically, if their team scores more goals than the opponent while they're out there, they get a plus. If it's the other way around, more goals against, it's a minus.
So it's like a running tally of their impact, taking into account both offense and defense.
You got it. It can really highlight players who might not be racking up points, but are consistently contributing to a winning environment. And then there's shot differential, which looks specifically at the shots on goal while a player's on the ice. A high shot differential usually means they're helping their team control the game and create more scoring opportunities.
I'm starting to see why coaches and scouts are so interested in these advanced stats. They give you a whole new layer of insight.
Exactly. It's like having X-ray vision into a player's game. And there are even more specialized metrics, like scoring chances, which try to quantify how often a player is involved in plays that have a high probability of leading to a goal, whether or not they actually score it themselves.
So a player who's setting up those dangerous chances for their teammates would have a high scoring chance metric, even if their own goal total isn't that impressive.
Exactly. It's about recognizing those playmakers, those setup artists who might not be lighting up the scoreboard, but are crucial to generating offense.
Like they're the architects,
Yeah.
Designing those intricate plays that lead to goals.
Perfect analogy. And these advanced metrics help us appreciate their contributions.
This all reminds me of that Moneyball phenomenon in baseball. Teams using data to uncover hidden gems and gain a competitive edge. Do you see that happening in hockey too?
Oh, absolutely. Just like Moneyball challenged those traditional scouting methods in baseball, hockey analytics is forcing teams to rethink how they assess talent and build their rosters.
Maybe one day we'll have a hockey ball movie, A team that uses data to defy the odds and win it all.
Wouldn't that be something? Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised. The way things are evolving, data is becoming more and more important in hockey.
Okay, so even with all these fancy stats, all this deeper understanding, the research still had trouble finding a direct, consistent connection between any specific fitness test and actual game performance. Why do you think that is?
Well, hockey is such a dynamic sport. It's fast, it's physical, it's strategic. There's so much going on, so many factors at play. It's hard to isolate the impact of just one thing.
Right, you can't just look at one number in isolation and say, okay, this is the key to success.
Exactly. There are just too many moving parts, too many influences on the outcome of a game.
And then, of course, there's the human factor, right? Players have good days and bad days, injuries, slumps, they develop chemistry with certain teammates, respond differently to different coaching styles. There are so many things you can't measure with a test.
You hit the nail on the head. Those human variables are what makes sports so unpredictable and so exciting. And it's why, even with all the advancements in analytics, those scouts and coaches, their experience and their intuition, they'll always be important.
It's like a dance between data and gut feeling, the analytical and the artistic sides of hockey.
I love that. It's about finding that balance. Data can inform and enhance our understanding, but we also have to acknowledge those limitations and, embrace the unpredictable nature of the game.
Speaking of limitations, what were some of the areas where the research identified gaps? Where do we need more data or more in-depth exploration?
One of the biggest gaps, and it's kind of glaring, is the lack of research on female hockey players. Almost all the studies in this review, they focused on men. And that's a major oversight, especially considering how much women's hockey is growing all over the world.
Yeah, it's a shame. You'd think with how incredibly talented these women are and how much more popular women's hockey is becoming, there would be more research dedicated to understanding the unique demands of their game.
Absolutely. It's a missed opportunity not just to support the development of female players, but to potentially uncover insights that could benefit the entire hockey community.
It's like we're only seeing half the picture if we're not studying both male and female athletes.
Exactly. And it's not just about gender either. They also highlighted a need for more research on younger players, especially those who are still developing their skills and their physical abilities. Understanding how physical attributes impact performance at different ages is crucial for optimizing training programs and helping young players reach their full potential.
It seems like there's a whole universe of research possibilities out there waiting to be explored. More data on men, women, youth players, players at different levels of competition. The more we know, the better we can support the growth and evolution of this sport.
Couldn't agree more. It's such an exciting time to be a part of this world of hockey analytics. The more data we collect and the more sophisticated our analysis becomes, the deeper our understanding will get. And who knows what new insights and breakthroughs we might uncover.
Okay, so we've talked about the different ways to measure performance, the challenges of finding those clear-cut links between fitness and success on the ice, and the need for more research to cover those different demographics within hockey. What else did this research review uncover? Anything particularly interesting?
Well, there was one part that really caught my attention, the discussion of data collection methods. Like we touched on earlier, a lot of the studies they looked at, they relied on pretty traditional approaches like video observation and manually tracking all those statistics.
So imagine a room full of researchers, hunched over game film, diligently writing down every pass, every shot, every check.
Yep, that's it. Those methods can be valuable, of course, but they have their drawbacks. They take a lot of time, there's always the risk of human error, and they might miss those little details, those split-second decisions and movements that can be really important.
Yeah, our eyes can only catch so much, especially when things are happening so fast on the ice.
Exactly. And that's why so many researchers are excited about all these new technologies that have the potential to revolutionize how we analyze hockey. We're talking about things like GPS tracking systems, which can collect incredibly detailed data on a player's every movement, their speed, their acceleration, how much effort they're putting in throughout a game.
So kind of like those fitness trackers that everyone's wearing these days, but specifically designed for the unique demands of hockey.
That's the idea. It's like having a digital scout tracking every single stride a player takes, every change of direction, every burst of speed. And it goes even further than that. Some systems now use multiple cameras and sensors to capture every little detail of a game. The puck's trajectory, its velocity, the precise movements of each player. It's almost like creating a 3D model of the entire game.
Wow, that's incredible. It's like you could step right into the action and see everything unfold from any angle.
It is pretty amazing, and the best part is that you can then feed all that data into these super powerful algorithms that can sift through everything and find patterns and insights that no human could ever spot on their own.
So are we on the verge of being able to analyze every single aspect of a hockey game, down to the tiniest detail?
We're definitely moving in that direction, and it's
Yeah.
going to have huge implications for every part of the game. Player development, scouting, coaching strategies, even how fans experience hockey. It's pretty exciting.
I feel like I need a crash course in data science just to keep up.
It can feel overwhelming, that's for sure. But that's part of what we're trying to do here. We want to break down these complex concepts and make them accessible to everyone, whether you're a coach, a player, or just a passionate fan who wants to understand the game on a deeper level.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job, I have to say. But the more we talk about this, the more I realize how much we still don't know. What are some of the big questions that researchers are still trying to answer in this world of hockey analytics?
One of the biggest ones, and I think it's on everyone's mind, is whether we can actually use all this data to predict future performance. Can we build a model, an algorithm that can accurately tell us which players are going to excel at higher levels, which teams have the best shot at winning it all?
That's the million-dollar question. Can we really predict the unpredictable?
That's the challenge, isn't it? And while we're not quite there yet, there's been some really promising progress. Researchers are getting better and better at building these complex algorithms that take into account all sorts of factors: physical attributes, on-ice skills, mental toughness, even personality traits.
So it's like they're trying to create the ultimate hockey player profile, the blueprint for success on the ice.
In a way, yes. But it's important to remember that even the most advanced models are still works in progress. And there are always those unpredictable factors, injuries, slumps, just bad luck that can throw a wrench into things.
Right, the human element. We can't forget about that.
Exactly. That's what makes sports so compelling. But even though we might never be able to perfectly predict the future, these new analytical tools are giving us a much deeper, richer understanding of the game than we've ever had before.
It sounds like the future of hockey is going to be this fascinating blend of art and science, where tradition and data come together.
I think you're right. The teams that will dominate are those who can find that sweet spot, that perfect balance between the wisdom of experienced scouts and coaches and those cutting-edge insights that data analysis can provide.
Okay, I think we've earned another intermission. We've talked about so much already, how we measure performance, those challenges of linking fitness to on-ice success, the need for more research to represent all the different players in hockey.
And we've only just scratched the surface. There's still so much to explore. The specific findings of these studies, implications for players and coaches, how all this is going to shape the future of the sport.
I can't wait to dig in. Fans, stick with us, because in our next period, we're going even deeper into this incredible world of hockey analytics. Welcome back, hockey fans. We're in the third period of our deep dive into the world of hockey analytics. And let me tell you, the ice is getting pretty choppy out there. We've been exploring this whole question of whether fitness really translates to on-ice performance, digging through the data from those 17 studies.
It's been quite a journey. We've looked at all sorts of fitness tests, those different ways of measuring hockey performance, and even peeked into the future of data collection, how technology is changing the game.
It's like we've been on a power play of our own, weaving through the neutral zone, setting up those scoring chances. But now it's time to bring it home, to summarize all this and deliver those key takeaways for our listeners. What are the big things we should all remember?
All right, let's cut to the chase. One of the clearest messages from all this research is that while there's no magic formula to predict who's going to be a star based on their bench press or their sprint time being physically fit, it are a critical part of the equation.
It's like those essential ingredients in a recipe. You can't bake a championship cake without the flour, the sugar, the eggs, the butter. You need all those elements to create something truly special.
I like that. You can't just rely on skill and strategy. You need that solid base, that physical foundation, to support those amazing plays and handle the demands of a game.
So what's the message for those coaches and trainers out there, the folks who are putting together those workout plans and drills? What should they be taking away from all this research?
It really highlights how important it is to understand the specific demands of hockey. What a player's body goes through, and then tailoring those training programs to meet those demands. It's not just about building brute strength. It's about finding that balance of power, speed, agility, endurance, and making sure players can avoid injuries.
Train smarter, not just harder, right? And use all this data, all this analysis to fine-tune those workouts and help every player reach their potential.
Exactly. And it's not just the coaches who can benefit. Players themselves can use this knowledge to, level up their game.
Yeah, becoming a more well-rounded athlete, recognizing your weaknesses and addressing them. You can't just be a one-trick pony, great at skating but weak in the gym, or strong as an ox but slow on the ice.
Right. Hockey requires a whole range of skills. Think of it like an orchestra. Physical fitness is the conductor, bringing all those different instruments together to create something beautiful. It's about finding that sweet spot where strength, speed, agility, and endurance all work together to create a dominant player.
So this research is a call to action for players. Invest in your physical development, work with knowledgeable trainers, and don't neglect any aspect of your training.
Absolutely. And we can't forget, this is really just the beginning. There's so much more to learn, especially when it comes to women's hockey and youth hockey. We need more research, more data to understand those specific demands and how we can help those players thrive.
Like we've explored part of the map, but there are still those uncharted territories out there waiting to be discovered. Who knows what we might find?
And with all these new technologies popping up all the time, it's really an exciting time to be following this field. We can collect more data, analyze it more precisely, and uncover insights that we never even knew existed.
Like we're trading in those old clunky tools for something sleek and powerful, something that can help us see the game with much greater clarity.
Exactly. And with that deeper understanding comes the potential to change everything. Player development, scouting, coaching, even how fans experience the game.
Okay, before we hang up our skates and hit the showers, let's leave our listeners with one final thought, something to ponder as they think about the future of this amazing sport.
Here's a question to chew on. As technology keeps advancing, pushing the limits of data collection and analysis, will we one day be able to predict hockey success with almost perfect accuracy? Will we be able to create a model that can pinpoint those future superstars, those championship teams, with absolute certainty?
The million-dollar question. Can we tame the wild, unpredictable beauty of hockey and make it a predictable science?
Only time will tell. But one thing's for sure. This quest to understand hockey, to unlock its secrets, it's a journey that's filled with passion, with innovation, and with a deep love for the game.
And on that note, we'll wrap up this deep dive. A huge thanks to everyone for listening. We hope you enjoyed exploring the science behind the sport we all love. Until next time, keep your stick on the ice and your mind in the game.
Thanks for tuning in to the Science of Hockey. If you enjoyed today's episode, make sure to share it with your friends, teammates, or anyone who loves hockey as much as you do. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode, and we'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment to let us know what you liked, what you'd like to hear next, or any questions you have. Your feedback helps us make the show even better. Until next time, keep your skates sharp, your mind open, and keep chasing the science behind the game.